Cam Moon is back on the Sports Cage. Mooner, let's start with those videos. Isn't that something else that you can have, Oiler on Oiler tussles every game? Have you seen one? Have you witnessed one live?
I have not witnessed one live. We all got cameras on us now, so everybody sees these things. I don't know that there's any more or less than there was years ago. It's just that we can document it now, and then it gets, there and then becomes something that we all see. I mean, how is that any different than 2 a.m. outside of Confetti's on a random Wednesday night in Saskatoon? I don't know. I don't know that it's any different than that.
Did you see who Holine fought?
See what I mean?
Old Blades jokes there. Okay, there's been, because of the gap here, right, and we're getting a lot of experts talking and a lot of talk shows talking about it. From a guy that's in and out of this team, you're on the plane with him, you're traveling with him all year round. In your mind, what is the biggest change going into this series against Florida for this Edmonton Oilers team this year compared to last?
Well, there's a few things. I'll start with the health of Evander Kane. Last year in the final, he was far from healthy. The Oilers didn't have him the entire regular season, and he's come into the playoffs and has been better, quicker than I think many people would have thought. You would have thought it would take a while to get up to speed. It's the most intense time of the year, and missing an entire season, that's difficult to just get up to speed right away. Well, Evander's done that, so to me, that's a huge part of it. The back end, in my estimation, is deeper this year. And another guy who, again, only played 11 games during the regular season, John Klingberg, then he got hurt, then comes back in the playoffs. And again, he has been better, quicker than I think most people would have thought. Jake Wallman's been a big part of things on the back end and has been really good at moving the puck up the ice, as has Klingberg. So to me, those are a couple of things that the Oilers didn't have to the same degree at this time last year. And overall, the health of the team is better at this point than it was last year going into the finals. So to me, those are some reasons to be optimistic if you're an Oilers fan going into this, although this is a Florida Panther team that they are the champs. They went to the final the year before that, and their pedigree is incredibly good.
Cam, as a broadcaster, you're living every one of our dreams. When we all got into this business, I think a lot of us thought, wouldn't it be cool to, if you were in sports, to do play-by-play for an NHL team? And then you get to do that. And then you get to do Stanley Cup Final last year, and you're going to do it again. Last year, game one, because I'm assuming that was brand new territory, were you a little nervous as well? Like, I'm calling a Stanley Cup Final game for the Edmonton Oilers.
Well,
and there are people listening everywhere.
Calling it though, but I wasn't calling it. Last year when Jack got bumped off of television, I got bumped off of radio. So I did the first two rounds of this year with Jack still doing the television. And then in the third round, I landed up doing a game for Sports USA on the national radio coverage in the US. But now I'm a pregame show guy. So that's how it goes. I mean, it's not ideal, but
yeah,
it's still, I'd rather be here than anywhere.
The trickle down effect, and you're still around it for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if someone would have said, hey, you know what, when you do get into this business, you're going to be part of a Stanley Cup crew, not only forget once, but to do it 2 years in a row. Now, you got to see Florida up close and personal last year. And like Maurice came out today and said, this is the best team that I have ever coached. I don't know what prompted him to say that, but Florida, they didn't back their way into this either. They kind of bullied their way in. And I think outside of LA, Florida may be the only team that is going to probably play the Oilers tough, because it just seemed that when they played Dallas, Dallas didn't seem aggressive at all, and the Oilers dictated the play outside of one period every other game in that series.
Yeah, it's the Edmonton Oilers, after that first round scare, I mean, they were down 2-0 to LA. They were losing in game 3 after 40 minutes. Like, it's not looking good at this point. But the challenge that didn't go Los Angeles's way after the Oilers scored, then they score on the ensuing power play. And then even in game 4, if Quentin Byfield gets the puck out of the zone, LA's chances of winning that game are pretty good. And then they're up 3-1 heading home. So to get past that, then play as well as Edmonton did the rest of that series, games 5 and 6 in particular, then as well as they did against Vegas, and making a really good Vegas team bow out in 5 games, and then play as well as they did against Dallas. That's a really good Dallas team. Obviously, to get to the conference final, to be in the Final Four, you've got to be hockey team. And then to play as well as they did, I think Edmonton handed them the first game. They were up after 40, playing really well, and then it all goes south. And then after that, completely dominated the rest of the series for the most part. There were a couple periods that I thought Dallas played really well, but Stuart Skinner held the fort. The Oilers have really found their stride after that scare in the first round. And Florida clearly has done that too. And I can understand why Paul Maurice has said that is the best team he's coached to this point, with the additions of Seth Jones on the back end, Brad Marchand up front. It's a deep team. It's a really good team. And they still have Sergei Bobrovsky, who plays as well as he does in the playoffs. So it's going to be a great series. I can't wait.
There's the one clip, and I think it was an NHL promo where it's Paul Maurice on the bench last year saying, we got to wear him down because it'll help us in Game 7 and all this. Cam, you kind of talked about Los Angeles, and then they make Vegas look pedestrian, and then they get by Dallas. So the Oilers side and then the Panthers side, will this be the most physical series both teams faced so far?
Probably. I would say, yeah, it's quite likely. I don't know that Edmonton gets a lot of credit for their physicality, but in these playoffs, again, with Kane coming back, that helps. Corey Perry plays a physical game. Vasily Podkolzin, him on the forecheck, he is a wrecking ball coming in there and helps create turnovers and keeps plays alive in the offensive zone. I mean, I think what Trent Frederick has brought to the team as far as the physicality. And on the back end, Darnell Nurse, Matthias Ekholm, and the fact that the Oilers got as far as they did to the conference final without Matthias Ekholm is something that should be mentioned. Because if you'd have told me a couple of weeks before the playoffs that the Oilers were going to be in the conference final and leading the conference final before Matthias Ekholm came back, I would have said, "Ooh, that seems like a long shot." But that speaks to the depth that they have on the back end. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a very physical series, and I think the Oilers are ready for it and would welcome it.
40-year-old Corey Perry is doing crazy things. I thought him and Zach Hyman were the two best players up until the point of the playoffs where Hyman got hurt. Now, I know that the Oilers were able to finish off Dallas, but going into a fresh series, Zach Hyman's going to be missed. Who has to be, I don't know if anybody's replacing him, but who in the depth has to be taking that Zach Hyman, where hitting everything, scoring some key goals, and just being the right place, right time guy?
Well, I would think a lot of them. And that's another thing that I'm optimistic about from an Oilers point of view is the fact that they've got 19 different players with a goal. The fact that the scoring is spread out and it hasn't just been Connor and Leon. Now, those guys have been amazing, but the fact that they're getting, just look at their scoring. Like it's incredibly balanced, and it's not ideal losing a guy like Zach Hyman because of his net front presence. Corey Perry takes that role on the power play now, and he's very good at it and had done it over the course of the regular season. And in fact, there was a lot of times where they were flip-flopping back and forth between Perry and Hyman on that first power play in front of the net. But you're going to need Vasily Podkolzin taking the body. You're going to need the speed of Matthias Janmark, and same thing with him getting in on the forecheck. Trent Frederick's a big part of that. Corey Perry's a big part of it. All of it. They're going to need all of that. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has had a very good playoffs and needs to continue as well. But the fact that they're not relying on just those times when McDavid's line's on the ice or Draisaitl's line's on the ice, or when they're playing together, they're on the ice. The fact that they can get scoring from lines 3 and 4, to me, is something that and that those numbers, not just the goals, the expected goals, but I mean the goals here in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year versus what they were last year. It's more in favor of the Edmonton Oilers as far as what they've done with lines 3 and 4.
As the series possibly starts to grind and go long, I think it'll be again where the media starts to make the deal about how far they have to travel to play each other. Like, what is it?
2,500 miles.
Yeah.
2,500 miles one way.
4,856 kilometers. I'm on MapQuest here, old school. But with the Oilers having home ice this time, Cam, you are eliminating at least one. And I know it's early and all that, and there's been the break here. Will that be much of a factor or no?
I don't know, like, because they're both, you miss the first trip out, but then it's the same. But I think if it goes 7, having game 7 in your rink, I'd rather have that than not. You look at last year, and the Oilers come up a goal short, and the game was in Florida. If it was in Edmonton, would it be different? I guess, we're not going to know, but you'd like to have it instead of not having it. So I know the atmosphere at Rogers Place is going to be absolutely crazy, as you'd expect. And the Oilers feed off of that energy. It is, it's a lot of travel. Chris Knobloch talked about it the other day. They were asking him about the travel. And of course, he compared it to his time coaching in the Western Hockey League with the Kootenay Ice, saying that it's not even close to what they would have dealt with Kootenay as far as bus travel. And it would be a lot. Kootenay was, there's some trips from there, because as you know, Cranbrook, as far as the WHL is concerned, it's not really close to anywhere. So he dealt with a lot. So he didn't think it was too bad, in regards to that. But I think the fact that the Oilers have home ice in this is probably is better than not having it.
Cam, do you have to put out a warning to all friends and family that don't reside in Alberta, like everybody from Saskatchewan? I am not buying you the 50-50 tickets. The jackpot is already at $6 million for Wednesday night. Did I see that right today? That it's starting at $6 million or something crazy like that?
It's crazy. Yeah. Well, you know how 50-50s roll around here. Like, they roll big. And it's unreal, isn't it? Like, that says something about the community. It says something about, I think about all that money that gets put back through that, and does a lot of good in Alberta. So I love to see those numbers stay high.
Yeah. If Barney and I won $6 million, we'd buy 10 McDavid jerseys and start 11 fights. And we'd hire dudes just to come fight for videos.
No, I'm not allowed to win it, but if I did, I'd be hard to find for a while.
I'll wear my Peter Ing jersey. Thank you very much.
Ooh,
I'm starting any fight, there's a throwback for you, Cameron.
That's a deep dive. I like that.
Speaking of deep dives, 89-90, you spent some time in Medicine Hat kicking for them in net. Unfortunate, isn't it? Again, that Willie can't get over the hump, and the WHL doesn't win the Mem Cup again.
And I watched that game in its entirety last night, and they gave it all they had, and they had plenty of chances to score. They just didn't score. They played that game again, that same game. They could have easily won that. And I know it's a one-game shot, and that's how it goes. And I felt bad for them. I was cheering for the Tigers. I thought they put their best foot forward. It's just, London would get a good chance. They're scoring. Medicine Hat was getting a ton of good chances, especially early, and didn't score. And, and a former Saskatoon Blade netminder playing for London kind of bit him in
that's crazy because of his age. He gets cut, gets sent to the OHL, and then he goes 32-1 and helping them win the Memorial Cup. And you're like, and now I get it. The Blades, they're developing the younger players, but 32-1 could probably help you win, potentially steal around in the dub.
Well, yeah.
So Austin Elliott, congratulations. And where is he going to college? Because he's signed to NCAA, correct? He's headed there for school next year.
I don't know.
I was reading that.
I don't know that.
I was reading earlier today. He's going to a high profile Div 1 school. So I'm like, good on you, man.
Yeah. Keep it rolling. You play some more hockey at a high level, get an education. Yeah, that's good.
You would have been all over that, wouldn't you?
Oh, baby. Yeah, could you imagine? I don't know that I'd have got 4 years out of it. I'm sure they'd have run me out well before that. But what a ride it would have been.
You mean Medicine Hat Community College wouldn't have seen as good a time as maybe Michigan State?
I went to Nate after I was done playing, and I had a fine education, and it was absolutely wonderful, and I loved my time. But yeah, I could only imagine a big time NCAA school. Yeah, there's no way I would have got through 4 years. No.
And it still disappoints me when you were in Medicine Hat that you only got 10 games in. The guy in front of you that played 57, Chris Good. I don't know who. I don't even know who that guy is.
See, Chris Osgood was pretty good. I got traded back then. The trading deadline was the end of January, so I was only really there for 2 months. I was there for February and March, and that was kind of it. So I guess 10 games over 2 months wasn't too bad. But Osgood was, I could tell even then, and he was a 17-year-old, you could tell that kid was going to play in the NHL. He had the perfect mental makeup, I think, to be a pro goaltender. Not much bothered him. And if it went well or if it didn't go well, he just rolled with it. And I was really happy to see him have a great NHL career. Still keep in contact with him, and he does some in-between period work on Detroit Red Wings broadcasts.
Oh, what a time. And Bob Ridley calling games and driving the bus.
Oh,
what a time to be alive.
It's unbelievable. I don't know how he did it. Seriously, I don't know how he did it.
It's a Netflix. That should be. We interviewed him on the Monday Nooner one time, and I'm like, somebody should have recorded this because you'll never see that again. Then why would anyone want to do that?
And the stuff he would have been witness to, like through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, like stuff you're just not going to see now, probably for good reason. But like the stories he could tell, because I remember having story time with Rids and all of that, and like he had just amazing stories and just a pillar of the community in Medicine Hat, Alberta.
All right, Cam, Oya Rum and Coke, if I come for one of the games here in the final, and we got to find Nevadas. I know 50-50s are nice, but give me some pull tabs, and we'll go old school on that.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Voice.
Keep those addictions going.
Yeah. Let's go. Cam Moon joining us again here on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline.